Thank you very much. I once met a man who had lost a close relative in an accident, and he told me what had happened at the emergency ward. He said everyone was very nice to us, but do you know who did the most for us? And I started guessing, could it have been a nurse? Could it have been a doctor? Could it have been the hospital chaplain? But the man shook his head and said, no, it was an assistant nurse. Because she sat with us in that room for a long time. She didn't say much, she didn't do much, but she was there and she saw us. And he said, for the rest of my life, I'll be grateful to that woman. What she did that day was a deed of loving kindness. Now, every day consists of hundreds of meetings. We meet them in our homes, on the bus, in a shop, at our workplace, our fellow humans. And in each and every one of these meetings, we make a decision how to relate to our brothers and sisters. You could say that life actually consists of meeting, that the meaning of life is relationships. You know this word kind. It has developed a bad reputation. Kind is related to being weak, being stupid, and sometimes you say, well, he's kind, but so are the cows in the field. And I say it's time for a paradigm shift when it comes to the word kindness. I say that kindness is neither wimpy nor stupid, and it's not just cute to be kind. I'm saying that kindness is the road to success. That the way in which we treat our fellow humans will eventually decide our own destiny, as individuals, as groups, and as a society as a whole. And this will be the major theme of this talk, that kindness is a road to success. And we'll see if I'll manage to convince you. I'll start by asking you a question. And the question is, which prominent characteristic would you like to have? Now, you can choose between 5 characteristics, but I'm sorry you can only pick one. And those you can choose between is to be a skilled professional, a real pro at work, or you can decide to be wealthy. And when I say wealthy, I mean stinking rich. In that case, you have on the bank a couple of 100 million euros. Or you can decide to be intelligent, so smart, so you're a candidate for the Nobel Prize. Or you can decide you want to be funny, so funny that when people see you, they start to laugh. So hard that they fall off their chairs. Or you can decide to be a good human being. Now, I'm truly sorry, but you can only pick one of these. And I wonder, have you made up your minds? Yes? Okay, then we'll do it by voting. Yes? You heard right. And everyone who picks skilled professional, please raise your hands. No one wants to be a skilled professional in this room. Who wants to be wealthy? Please raise your hands. Don't we have any honest people in the room? Okay, 2 hands in the air. Intelligent, that's not the sought after characteristic in this group, obviously. 1 person. Who wants to be funny? 1. And who wants to be a good human being? Please raise your hands. Well, 90%. That's kind of nice. And what can you learn from this? Well, you can learn that no matter what they say about man being evil, no matter what they say about the world being an evil place where to live, every time you ask, you get the same response, that a large majority of people regard being good as a very, very important characteristic. And that's worth remembering. But why should you be a good human being? I mean, why should we be kind? Can't we just be mean to each other instead? Can't we, if our neighbor drives his lawnmower at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, can't we just beat him up? Why should we be nice to each other? The answer to that is that a number of scientific studies have shown that we actually gain from being good. And I'll show you a few examples of such studies. This is a study in which a group of people were allowed to play a game. And in this game, you can only choose 2 strategies. You can be egoistic and only think about yourself, or you can be generous and collaborate with the other players. Now, they did magnetic resonance imaging of the brains of the people playing this game, and they found that if you were generous and collaborated, a pleasure area in the brain became activated, which proves that you actually derive enjoyment, pleasure, from doing good deeds. And the interesting thing is that it's the very same area that becomes activated when you use narcotic drugs. And that's good news, right? We can stop with the addiction and instead do good deeds. It gives us the same pleasure, the same enjoyment, but without any side effects. Here's another example, a study done on payphones. They did like this. They took a coin and put it in the coin return of the payphone to half of the people that visited the telephone booth. So half of the people, they got, to their surprise, they found the coin that they could use to phone with, and half didn't get the coin. And then as they were leaving the phone booth, they allowed an actress to walk by. She stumbled and fell to the ground and dropped the manuscript. And it was then found that people who didn't get the coin, in 5% of the cases, they stopped and helped her to pick up the manuscript. Whereas the people that got the coin back, they stopped and helped her in 90% of the cases. And what does this tell you? Well, it tells you that if you're well treated, if you're treated nicely, even by a machine, you will do good deeds for other people. And this in turn means that if you do good things for other people, the chance will increase that they will do good things for you. And not just for you, the chance also increases that they will do good deeds for other people. So it is true that good deeds spread like waves. And it's not just that we become kind from kindness, we also perform better. This is an example of such a study. They took doctors and divided them into two groups. One group got the small candy, and the other group didn't get the candy. And then they tested all the doctors, and they found that on an average, those that got the candy, a small candy, were more creative, they were better at diagnosing patients, they did it quicker, and they had less prejudice. From one tiny piece of candy, and I certainly hope you understand what this means in regard to your next doctor's appointment. We become good. We gain from being good ourselves, and that's a good incentive to be kind. And then the next question comes, of course, how do I develop my kindness? And one way of developing it is actually to exercise, because it has been shown that we become better at handling all the relationship problems that we encounter every day if we practice in advance. Then we become better when it happens in real life. And when it happens in real life, we have to make sometimes snap judgments. So we'll have a small training session, okay? I'll show you a situation. You'll have a few seconds to think about how to act in the situation, and then I want the response from everyone, okay? And this is a situation. One day your friend calls you up crying. She has a good marriage, but her husband is jealous. She has now had dinner with a former boyfriend. The meeting was innocent, but her husband has heard that they have been seen together and is furious. Your friend begs you to say that the two of you have been out together and that the ex-boyfriend by coincidence turned up and talked to you just for a couple of minutes. And my question to you is, would you lie to save your friend? And although all those that would lie in this situation, please raise your hands. And all those who wouldn't lie, please raise your hands. So we have a 50-50 situation. So what can you say about this? Well, you could say that honesty is a virtue, it's a good norm. What kind of society would we live in if people would actually lie to each other? Or you could say that scientific studies have shown how frequently we lie. Do you want to know how frequently we lie? Yes? I'll tell you, on an average we lie 3 times a day. What do you think about my new coat? Oh, but it's beautiful. That's how we do it all the time. And then you may ask the question, what's the problem with another lie? I'm not saying that you should lie in this situation. I'm leaving that question open. But what I am saying is that norms and rules give us guidance, but they don't take away our responsibility. And sometimes we achieve more good by breaking a rule or a norm than by following it. Rules and norms cannot be rigid. And now I'd like to tell you a story about the worst case of rigid rules that I've ever encountered. And this happened 18 years ago when we just had our son Michael. Michael was 3 weeks old when my wife and I decided we'd go to the movie theater. So we took Michael with us. We went to the movie. I went up to the cashier and said 2 tickets. And she said, she looked at me, she looked at Michael, and she said, no, you cannot bring the child into the movie theater. And I said, it's no problem. He's very quiet. He hardly ever screams. And if he would, we'll immediately leave. And then she said, no, but that's not the reason. No, this film is adults only. After I had collected myself, I thought that this was a good opportunity to use your authority as a doctor. So I said to her, well, it happens that I'm a physician. And I know that babies 3 weeks old cannot fixate their eyes. He cannot see anything that happens on the screen. And then the cashier looks at me, and a slight smile appears on her lips, and she said, no, but he may listen. Do you think she let us in? No, a terrible case of rigid rules. Now, the theme of today is inspiration. And inspiration is very, very important when it comes to kindness. And I'd like to speak to you about this the importance of being a good example, because people don't always do as we say, but they often do as we do. Do you know how children learn things? Do you think children learn to talk and walk by attending secret night classes? No. They learn by imitating. And the interesting thing is that we continue to learn by imitating also through adulthood. And we still imitate other people. And you know what this means? Well, this means that other people look at us and they do what we do. Children and grown-ups do what we do. And that's why it's so important not just to speak, but also to do. So we'll make a little exercise. I ask you to stand up. David can sit.
Thank you.
And please place yourself. I'll borrow your chair, actually, so that everyone can see us. See me. Okay? Do you see me, everyone? Okay, now I would like everyone to do as I say, and start by spreading your legs slightly, and then go up and down a few times to loosen up, and then stand firmly. Please raise your right hand into the air, form a ring with your index finger and thumb, and then lower your hand and put it on the mouth. And then look at each other and ask yourself the question, where is the mouth? Please sit down. Here's your chair back. It's always the same story. Here is the mouth. Here. It's always the same story. 20% will do as I say, although I said to you that everyone should do as I say, right? Still, 80% will do what I do. And that's because we're more prone to imitating other people than to do what they tell us to do. And that's why it's so important, not just what we say, but what we do. And you don't have to feel stupid, because I have a colleague at the publishing company. She has seen me lecture 7 times, and every time I've spoken to you about kindness as a road to success, and I truly mean it's a road to success. You gain from being good, because one thing is it makes you feel good. Remember the experiment with the activated pleasure center, but it's not just that. Because we also create advantages for ourselves. If we do good deeds to others, the chance increases that they will do good deeds to us. And it's not just that. It's also that our good deed spreads like waves, and eventually the whole world benefits. Everyone has a tremendous responsibility for himself, for herself, for his or her family, but also for friends, acquaintances, work colleagues, but that's not enough. I say that everyone should live their life as if the fate of the world rested on their shoulders. That's the type of responsibility we have. Remember the assistant nurse and what she did to the family. We're never helpless victims. There is always something we can do for our brothers and sisters. And I'd like to end by asking you to ask yourself the following question. If it's not my responsibility to take care of my fellow human beings, if that's not my responsibility, then whose responsibility is it? Thank you very much.